promised a full review of the show. Oh my gosh, I need a drink before this. Oh my gosh. Some Fallout gave me brain damage. Oh boy.
As promised, I'm back to review the rest of Season 1 of the critically acclaimed Fallout TV show. I'm sure the question on some people's minds is, well, does it get better? Believe it
Do you get better?
or not, kind of, a little bit. In the sense that you can turn your brain off, and if you don't care about the Fallout franchise, which is the case for most of the people who like this show, then you could just consume this mediocre slop and not really think much of it. This is about as superficial as an adaptation can possibly be. It has a bunch of visual references, and that's really all it takes to get normies on board with your show. You can.
Why did they show the bubblehead? Is it gonna be... Does you think that people that didn't play the games are gonna be, oh, who's the bubblehead? Yeah! No, people are liking this.
You can absolutely take a massive dump on the
People are really liking the gold, me included.
lore, especially of the original games in New Vegas. That's fine, because most Fallout fans, if you can even call them fans, have only played Fallout 4, and so they don't care about the universe, they don't care about the characters, they don't even care about the theme. They don't even know what the theme is.
What do you mean? They don't know the theme. They don't care about it. Come on, man. You're pulling my
People
leg.
think it's about capitalism. The games literally tell you in the intro cutscene and the epilogue, war never changes. And yet somehow now it's about capitalism bad.
My guy, it's always been that way. It's always been war never changes because, yeah, war sucks. No surprise there. I hope you know that. But also, yeah, rampant and corrupt capitalism, very bad. Come on, man. Did you pay attention when you were playing the games? Were you?
But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. As some of you may have noticed, my last video got absolutely brigaded, more than maybe I've ever seen before, by Redditors, Discord groomers, outrage merchants on Twitter,
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm not even looking at the comments, but he liked the comment from a person with the Confederate flag, with the flag that says, hey, we like to own people. That's a red flag, 5%. Okay, what did the comments say? You all can call people chill or normies for disagreeing with you, but it doesn't change the fact that this video is senseless rage bait and meant to lure the kind of people who should take a course on taking care of a cactus. That's a funny joke. And this person that he liked was like, Reddit ask rebuttal isn't an argument. It's not an argument, it's poking fun of the guy. Says the racist. Good job, man. Yeah, my dog's too clickbait. He talks nonsense. Yeah, he just runs his mouth and uses buzzwords to get people mad. Okay, he answered, Voodoo Spartan answered the original comment. I've never actually used Reddit, so I wouldn't know, LMAO. But if you're trying to say that Reddit-esque rebuttal are cringe bait and just flat out wrong, then yeah, I completely agree. This guy's videos are Reddit-esque rebuttal to all the positive reviews this show is getting. Good job, good job.
list goes on. That was probably the least organic my comment section has ever looked.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you missed the part where the scribe interrogates Maximus, referred to the non-binary character Dante's Day. It's not Dante's Dane. In a post-biblical world, pronouns still get respected. And that's something, yeah, it's great.
Ever. But if you've been watching this channel
Rage
for a long
bait,
time,
yeah.
you might be thinking, well, that's nothing too out of the ordinary. That's happened a bunch of times to this channel. Well, even
This is fan fiction, this is hate fiction. The video, yes, the video absolutely.
reading these comments, I knew something fishy was going on. The first thing I noticed is that there were a lot of suspiciously similar comments copy-pasted in the reply chains of all the top comments in my video. And they would only ever address the same few points, whether it's the show breaking the lore, or Shady Sands falling, and then the nuke happening after it fell, and we'll address that later in this video.
Yeah, because those were the things you get, I don't know, wrong, or you were arguing about, or saying, oh, they don't give an answer in the first episode. Of course, people are gonna be like, hey, they get answer, or here was I think, here was happening, or you know, they're calling you racist not because it's a copy and paste it, saying that because you were saying racist things.
But none of those comments addressed anything I actually said in the video itself. I think the only comments talking about the video itself were people triggered about my comments regarding interracial couples, which is funny because I didn't even give my opinion on interracial couples.
What do you mean you didn't? My man, did you hit your head and forgot what the heck you said in that video? Come on.
I just brought up statistics and pointed out how it's propaganda that they appear in all modern media. But I guess with Redditors being proud cuckolds, literally, they feel the need to defend Tyrone's honor as he plows their wife every night. The funniest one to me is there would always be a comment.
I am not even going to address whatever the heck that was.
Claiming this show doesn't break the lore. Not explaining how it doesn't, just saying that it doesn't. You know, all the nitpicks aside, I would say the biggest retcon of all is Shady Sands teleporting 200 miles across California into the heart of LA. The Boneyard doesn't even exist in this show. No, Shady Sands is now in LA, which was not the case in Fallout.
Yeah, okay, that's a fair argument, but that was the only thing you complained about in your video. That would have been fine, but all the weird stuff, that was cool.
When you don't even know what the lore is. That's a fucking bot, dude. The second thing I noticed is that video has way more comments than almost any video in the entire history of my channel. At the time of recording this, the video is just under 200,000 views.
Look at the dislike ratio. Oh, I love this. Come on, yes.
And has 14,000 comments.
Yeah, because people are talking and discussing in your comments. You should be happy about that.
For comparison, my Starfield video, which has 680,000, has 12,000 comments. And I'm sure some delusional person is going to say, well, it's just people arguing with each other.
Oh, sorry, I guess I'm crazy for saying that.
But these are my videos we're talking about. People are debating each other in the comments basically every time I give a negative take on a modern game. No, these are bots. Actual AI chat bots that are
where's the proof?
being rolled out into YouTube comment sections. And so, suspecting these were bots, I wrote a pinned comment. And of course I was inflammatory, but this is me we're talking about, so that's besides the point. But in the comment, I said, if you do not reply to one of these 3 questions posted...
I love some of the comments that they replied.
I will block you from this channel. And the whole point of that was to prove that you are not an AI chatbot. And what do you think happened?
I'm just here to laugh at you.
Comments.
Okay, let's see. This one. Oh, sorry, I don't know. Okay, let's see this comment. Yes, they messed up with Shady Sands. I'll give you that. Yeah, but you know what they say in my country? They say a broken clock says the time correctly twice a day. So yeah, even someone being racist and awful could say something correct. Crazy, I know. Okay, no, it's not cool, quite the contrary. Yes, that's diversity. As all the games from the very beginning, it never feels forced. Yes, the main character, a woman, a black man, and a white man to a goal. Neither of them are perfect. Lucy is far from a Mary Sue. I can guarantee you that. Out of curiosity to get this specific. Yeah.
did not address any of the 3 questions
Clown.
in the post. And yes, some of these were just retarded Zoomers or millennial Redditors
Block
who were
me,
trying to throw a
please.
gotcha in.
Who
But
hurt
no,
you?
there were
Who hurt
quite a
you?
few
Yes.
that are just straight up fucking chatbot responses that don't address anything in the post. My story has been corroborated by V, not the board, but the Romanian, who's Sargon's buddy, you might remember from back in the day. He also confirmed he was debating with bots on Twitter. You can check out the Archcast video reviewing the show. Their
Oh
comment.
my gosh, what was
You can check.
this? What is going on? Everything's split. What is happening? What is going on?
Out the Archcast video reviewing the show. Their comments are full of bots. One thing I absolutely can't blame on bots.
So, like, people that disagree on with you or that make fun of you are bots? I am a robot then. They are synths. You should be happy you are a synth,
However,
man.
is the sheer number of people claiming I didn't pay attention to the first episode because I got a bunch of plot points wrong. Every single point I got wrong is because I only watched the first episode, which
Oh my gosh.
I stated in the last video.
Yeah, but you assume that all the answers will be on the first episode. Like, this isn't explained, they don't explain this. Why is that? Why is happening this thing? Because they're explained in the other episodes. I cannot even
Yes, the
see.
show has this thing called plot twists. Did you want me to read a Cliff's Notes of every episode plot before I made the review? Are people not allowed to review just the first episode of a show? Look, I know a lot
Pay
of the
attention
noticers
at
in my
least, and don't
audience
be
are not the least
racist.
bit shocked by this and probably don't really care that much. But this is fucking huge. AstroTurfing has gotten completely out of control at this point. I've seen plenty of paid marketers on other websites, especially on Reddit and 4chan. But if now YouTube comments are just going to be flooded with bots, there's going to be no
As if that's something new. There are so many bots in spam that pretend to be, I don't know, Game Theory, Mr. Beast, or just saying, subscribe to me, my farts are better. Yeah, I saw those. I report them. You do that. You report
discussion
bots.
anymore. It'll be
But these aren't bots. Don't report them. You need to be like, okay, this is a bot for sure.
Easy to create the
1000%. Just not just because it disagrees with you.
illusion of a majority opinion. And speaking of which, there were many bot comments that basically said something along the lines of, how does it feel to be in the minority opinion? If 99.9% of people think 2 + 2 = 5, does that mean they're right? No, it doesn't, you fucking idiots.
We're not talking about math. We're talking about you being racist. You were racist and homophobic. Maybe not homophobic, but
sells like 20
homophobic
million
for sure.
copies a year, and we all know it's trash. I don't care if everyone likes the Fallout show. It's still garbage. So
It's okay if it's garbage to you. It's not okay for you to be, I hate it because women and not white people.
yeah, sorry if that was a little long, but I had to get this out of the way first. Just so that my viewers know that there's a very good chance you'll be debating with either bots or Redditors in bad faith who just hate me because I have controversial political opinions.
Man, hating people because of their skin color is not a political thing. It's being racist. Okay.
There's nothing a Redditor hates.
Or hating a character just because of their gender. That's sexist. Okay? Just because Lucy is a girl doesn't mean she is perfect and Mary Sue. It just means she's a cool character and she's a girl.
More than people who can think for themselves.
I'm pretty sure I can think for myself, thank you. I'm not a robot, I think. Maybe. Who knows? I do not use Reddit. Unless it's to get some ideas, I guess. I don't know. They have an answer that I was looking for. But
Alright, since I have to cover 7 episodes in one video,
Oh,
I'm going
boy.
to heavily condense the plot synopsis for each episode and give my thoughts on the major details. I don't really have time to nitpick everything, or this video will be over an hour long, and I'm
Yeah, it's not over an hour long. Good
not
job,
going to
buddy.
make this over an hour long, I promise you.
9
so feel free
seconds.
to point out other things you hated about the show. I'm sure there'll be plenty I don't hit in this video. Without further ado, here's the rest of Fallout Season 1. Starting off with Episode 2, we have easily the worst episode of the show. It starts off where we see an Enclave research facility, I guess, and the one not evil Enclave scientist who spares a German Shepherd from incineration and takes it as his own. For some reason that is never explained, by the way.
Maybe he didn't want to kill a puppy. You know, maybe. Could be crazy to think so, but you know, maybe.
He gets access to this extremely important artifact that is the MacGuffin that drives the entire plot of the show.
Yeah.
And in fact, after this scene, the Enclave never shows up again in the show. Long story short, he has to escape from the facility. An auto turret shoots at him and misses every fucking shot as he's moving at 2 miles an hour. Look how bad this looks.
Yeah, that's
Just
silly.
remember
That's
that people
silly.
actually like this show every time you see
Look at
shit
her,
like
she's
this.
so cute.
In the next scene, we see Lucy explore the desert wasteland of California, and the Enclave scientist finds her at night conveniently and tries to explain to her that the wasteland is an inhospitable nightmare where the creatures there have adapted to become more lethal, and she needs to adapt in kind. This is one of many scenes where it shows Lucy is incredibly naive about the state of the world, and she needs to become hardened to survive here. Guess what? She never does. Next scene, we're back with...
Not... okay, we'll see what is going with that, okay? Because she changes a bit. She is very naive. Like a 3-year-old. Like a 5-year-old. Like, yeah, the world is the rainbows and sunshines, and everyone is helping each other, and then she is hardened. Yeah, a little. She starts to not trust people. She starts to become more careful with her things. It's little things, but you cannot expect someone to live 20 plus years in a way to suddenly change. It's not like in a video game when you start playing, you're like, okay, now let's kill everything.
Maximus, and we soon learn that the knight that he's serving under is a pathetic weakling asshole and probably also racist. Yeah, for
Wow, he's racist. What a surprise.
some reason, the genius showrunners and Bethesda by extension thought it was a good idea to make the Brotherhood of Steel evil, arguably the most marketable part of the Fallout universe. They made incredibly unlikable in this show. On the one hand, it did subvert my expectations completely. On the other, it just feels like yet another way to shit on the Fallout universe. And before some people strawman me, I'm not saying the Brotherhood of Steel should be like Fallout 3 where they're all good guy knights or whatever. I'm completely fine with the Brotherhood being xenophobic isolationists who preserve technology.
I wonder why you're fine with that. Yeah, they are like that in Fallout 4. But you didn't play the game, apparently, so you wouldn't know that they were very, very racist against synths and ghouls. So they wouldn't like you, synthetic man.
I think that's great. Unfortunately, they never do that in this show. No, instead, Titus is a mega pussy. He gets taken out by a fucking Yao Guai, a guy in T-60 power armor, taken out by a bear. And because he was an asshole, Maximus decides not to save him, and then steals his power armor and pretends to be him. This is one of many moments where Maximus is borderline evil in this show.
Yeah, he's not a pure, wonderful protagonist. He's complex. Yeah, and also he's showing through the show, she is showing the cycle of abuse continuing.
But I guess it's okay, because the guy was a racist, and he looks white.
No, it's not okay. We just know that Maximus believes in a dog is dog word, and that's his mentality, and that's why his first thoughts are protect
I
myself.
do want to point out he's not actually technically white, but I don't want to go into that. But of
You
course,
mean he's pale as F? My guy, what are you on
the
about?
question is, how the hell did Titus become a knight in the first place if you earn the power armor through acts of bravery? He was a complete pussy. But no, they don't explain it. And
Well, he was also like blaming Maximus, blaming him, saying, "Oh, it's your fault because this thing caught me off guard, and it's your fault because you didn't give me the thing immediately." Of course, it's making him angry and like, yeah, I don't want to save someone who's just being awful to me. Give that to the character.
And speaking of not explaining it, Maximus doesn't explain what happened to Titus. No, he just pretends that he died, and now
Yeah.
he pretends to be Titus for almost the rest of the entire show. And there's no consequences for this, by the way.
That's not true. Sure, he says, hey, yeah, the squire is dead. The end, but because they don't care what happened, how did it go, what happened, they don't care. Because it's a sort of cult, like a lot of the factions on Fallout. And yeah, there are a lot of consequences
The way.
later
At
on.
the end, somehow the Brotherhood conveniently forgets that he
No.
told them that he died and Titus lived.
No,
Oh, and this
they
is not the
don't.
only plot hole in this show. In the next scene, we're back to Lucy, and we get a scene straight out of Borderlands where some idiot is living out in the middle of nowhere with no resources, somehow surviving, and he drinks all of Lucy's water. Haha, so funny, she should stop trusting people, but she
As if, in Fallout there was no silly stuff, there were no funny or silly scenes.
keeps doing it. Eventually, she heads over to the town
Yeah,
of Philly that's actually
because she grew up in a society with the idea of helping people, helping each other.
located in a
etc.
forest. I gotta say, this is one of the few things I kind of liked about the show. There's a settlement that isn't out in the middle of a wasteland with no resources like Megaton. And yes, there absolutely would be forests. Not only has it been well over 200 years, which is more than enough time for the radiation to be gone,
It's
but
not.
also it's not like every inch of the country was hit with nukes. So this actually makes a lot of sense. I kind of like this. Now, something I really, really don't like is that Lucy comes across this shop called Ma's Rarities, and this old woman here explains to us that vault dwellers represent rich people and surface dwellers represent poor people.
Well, she is explained to Lucy how people view the vault dwellers.
Again, this once again proves fans of the show haven't actually played the fucking games. Either that or they just conveniently ignore obvious propaganda right in their fucking face.
What are you talking
Vault Dwellers
about?
represent a time capsule of the 50s retro future culture. That's why they're
Yeah, for the
also
vaulties.
naive and friendly and neighborly, and they have to learn to survive in this inhospitable environment where everything's trying to kill you. Never at any point in any of the games is it implied that vault dwellers are rich people.
Well, there are some vaults for rich people. There are some vaults for quote unquote lucky people that got a place in just by the lottery or whatever. But also they are the ones with the experiments, but they're also the ones where you buy a ticket to stay in the vault. So yeah, there are rich people, but also this lady is explaining how the surface people see the vaulties. Like, hey, you guys have fresh water, you're repaired from radiation, you have food, you don't have raiders, you are lucky and rich in a way.
Only vaults that maybe come close to that are the control vaults, and yes, it's set up that Vault 33 is a control vault, but it's not in reality. We'll get to that plot twist when it comes. The
Oh,
vast
gosh.
majority of vaults had horrific science experiments take place in them. I wouldn't exactly call
Yeah.
that a haven for the rich. So of course,
Again, she's explaining how the surface people see the Vault Dwellers.
Of course, the lady
We'll see.
doesn't help her, but conveniently the Enclave scientist caught up with her, and he reveals that he knows all about Vault 33, and of course it turns out that he's the guy that she's looking for to find a way to get to her father. Of course, the Ghoul shows up, and we get half of a pretty cool action scene where we get to see Walton Goggins blow away a bunch of mercs. And actually, yeah, it's pretty cool. He's got some kind of shotgun firing, I guess, armor-piercing sabot rounds. And no, I'm not going to nitpick that. It's Fallout. Obviously, the guns aren't realistic, and Bethesda has proven time and time again they know nothing about guns.
So, okay, so the guns can be goofy and unrealistic, but the people cannot.
But
okay.
it looks pretty cool, I'll say that. One thing that does kind of bother me about this scene is that for some reason, ghouls are now basically immortal zombies. If you don't shoot them in the head, they don't die. That is a pretty big retcon, and don't try to tell me it isn't one, because it's never been established that you have to shoot them in the head. Even
in the show it's not established, like, they hit him, but like in the game you can be hit 3 or 4 or whatever amount of times before your HP runs to 0.
I don't think gameplay is canon, which I think is just absurd, but we're not going to get into that. This is clearly a retcon. Also, in the chaos, the Ghoul stabs Dogmeat, and yes, I'll be calling the dog Dogmeat because Walton Goggins himself calls the dog Dogmeat near the end of the show, so might as well be. But don't worry, the dog...
She's Dogmeat. She's the best. She's the best.
Now this is where the episode goes to shit again. Lucy gives this grand speech, which is pretty cringe, shoots the Ghoul...
That's the point. That's the point. Like... Everyone is like, what is this girl talking about? Because she's from a completely different world. If she had been a Mary Sue, this speech would have worked. Everyone would have been, oh my gosh, she's right. Why are we being mean?
Ghoul with the tranq dart. We get an admittedly pretty good line.
Yeah.
Well, now that is a very small drop in a very, very large bucket of drugs.
And then Maximus shows up to save the day, and they fucking turned power armor into Iron Man armor. It looks so stupid.
It's goofy. It's funny.
This looks bad. Just watch this, guys.
This is so funny. This scene is so funny. Yeah. Yeah, because he never trained to drive one of those.
Come on, that's something straight out of a Bollywood film.
What do you have against Bollywood now? Come on, man. Their movies are so fun.
To mention, Maximus is an idiot. Why doesn't he have a gun? He had a gun in a previous scene.
It fell out of his hands. And also, he probably won't say it. The Ghoul says, yeah, you drive that thing like a shopping cart, which was so flipping funny.
Break. In the midst of this really shitty Marvel movie fight, the old lady grinds this metal boot onto the Enclave dude's leg, which just feels like straight shock value because it doesn't even save him, by the way. And then the Ghoul shows up in the room, gives Dogmeat a stim pack, and now all of a sudden they're buddies.
Oh my gosh,
Dogmeat to track down the Enclave guy.
Because Dogmeat is best girl. Just heal her and she'll be your bestie forever. I love her.
That episode ends back in the middle of the desert again. The Enclave dude is starting to bleed out, and so he tells Lucy to chop off his head because the thing they need is in his head. Again, this is done purely for shock value and his idiocy. The thing in his neck does not need to be in his head to work. So they carry around a fucking rotting head for the entire season.
You know, a head maybe is easier to carry than whatever it is. Also, if it's fragile, it might break outside the neck. And sure, like, just take my neck sounding weird and make people like, what? No, if you just say, take my head. A head is easier also as a prop to use.
Nobody thinks to dig the chip out of his neck. Dude, they turned Fallout into Borderlands. You're gonna see that more and more throughout this show. This is straight up fucking Borderlands cringe, unfunny garbage.
This is so
and that's
funny.
Episode 2. I give it a...
Again, Fallout is a very surprisingly goofy type of game.
3 out of 10. The only reason it isn't even lower than that is because Walton Goggins is pretty entertaining as the ghoul, and honestly, he only gets better from here.
Cool.
Everything else about this episode was awful. I feel like if you have any standards for television at all, you would have stopped watching this show after this episode. It was that bad.
Guess I have no standards.
Episode 3. It begins with a flashback before the war, as we see more of the life of Cooper Howard before he became the ghoul. It turns out he was, in fact, an actor for westerns, and his wife is an executive at Vault-Tec. It's good to see, even in the alternate future of the Fallout universe, we still have diversity hires in the highest position of power.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's good to see.
We see that the ghoul has come across the corpse of the Enclave scientist, and we get yet another huge retcon. Ghouls now have to take a special serum to avoid going feral. In the original game, the reason why ghouls were hated, or at least were outcast from society, is because they were ticking time bombs. They could go feral at any moment. I can't remember if it's ever quite confirmed, but it's definitely suspected that extended exposure to radiation eventually rots the brain completely and they go feral. But no.
Yeah, but maybe it's a new drug?
Now in the
like, it's been years after Fallout New Vegas, as you said. So maybe they made something new. Maybe the guy that buried Cooper created it because, hey, that's a way to keep my, what's the word, bounty hunter alive for more time.
There's a special serum that they have to take periodically to avoid going feral. I know there's going to be some idiot that's going to say that this is not a retcon, but there were plenty of ghouls
maybe it's a
that
new
survived
thing.
over 200 years. What is it that happened in the past 15 after New Vegas that ghouls now all of a sudden have to take a serum? No, this is a
we do not
retcon.
know. Maybe it will be explained. Maybe it will be explored.
We're back to Maximus, and this is the scene I mentioned last episode where he lies to the Brotherhood, pretending to be Titus, and says that Maximus died.
Yeah.
Again, there's no consequences for this.
Fake,
it never
false.
comes up again.
No.
After a borderline pointless scene where he has to sell one of his teeth to afford repairing a part, a bunch of raiders try to...
Okay, they're not really raiders, more like thugs. The raiders only show up twice in the show, yes, really. There are a lot of bad groups in this series, so of course there are gonna be a lot of different
And he
bad
gets
guys.
his ass beat, again, because he lost his gun off screen. He does manage to beat up most of them, including
on
crushing
screen?
one of their heads with the power armor. And then the Brotherhood of Steel arrives, giving him a new squire. And of course, it's one of the guys who beat him up in the first scene he shows up.
Yeah, and also that the guy that had the power armor before was another of his bullies. So of course he was angry.
And so Maximus, being one of our main protagonists, a hero we can all look up to, nearly crushes his fucking head! Dude, I couldn't...
Yeah, it's called continuing the cycle of abuse. You bullied me, but now I'm in a position of power, I bully you.
Believe this. Is he supposed to be a villain? Man, you can tell...
No, he is supposed to have... Chase? Is that the word?
These guys got beat up in high school, and this is their revenge fantasy, because Maximus continues the cycle of bullying, doing...
Yeah, that's the point. He doesn't break the cycle of abuse that requires a lot of power and bravery and
exactly
other
what
things.
Titus did.
But again, he grew up with the idea dog is dog.
To him.
So it's gonna
When
continue.
we get back to Lucy, I'm now realizing I neglected to mention what she's actually doing. She's trying to deliver the head to the raider chick, Moldaver, whose real identity is really stupid, but we'll get to that at the end. Anyway, she comes across a lake and is attacked by a gulper, which you may remember from the Far Harbor DLC for Fallout 4. Now, they looked completely different in that. Now they're giant pink salamanders with fingers in their mouths for some reason. This makes them seem more like an FEV mutant. Why the hell would radiation make you grow human fingers in your mouth? Whatever.
Why will radiation make, excuse me, I'm doing stuff here. Why would radiation create, I don't know, cows with two heads that can survive with two heads, or the mirror lurk, or the death claws. They are so
Anyway,
cute,
it eats the head.
Cool.
Of course, the ghoul catches up with her and decides to use her as bait while he monologues about how ineffective torture is. This is probably the scene where I ended up liking this guy, because
This
he's
was so
definitely
funny.
a villain. I don't know if they were
Yeah.
attempting to write an anti-hero, but he's definitely not. He's a villain. But he's a good villain. Walton
It's a
Goggins
cool
is a
villain.
great actor, and I think they were trying to go for a New Vegas vibe with the cowboy thing, but to me,
He was an actor that played cowboys.
it honestly feels more like a character straight out of the New Vegas Bounties mods developed by Some Guy 2000, and those are all great if you haven't played them. Despite being some of the oldest mods for
What
New
is he
Vegas,
talking
they're
about
still
now?
probably the best. Back at Vault 33, we get our third concurrent plot throughout the season, the mystery behind this triple vault system. I gotta say, it was actually pretty intriguing. For a while, this was my favorite part of the show, and the reason I kept watching. Big Schnoz actually turns out to be a
What?
pretty good character. Unfortunately,
Wow, surprise! The small guy is actually very brave.
they really ruin it at the end. So I'm not
If
going
you
to
say
cover it
so.
episode by episode. We'll talk about the whole side plot when it wraps up at the end. After we
Okay.
get a scene dedicated to Maximus just abusing his bully, we get another subtle retcon. The bully implies that the Brotherhood of Steel is going to wipe out ghouls from existence. Did the writers confuse the Brotherhood with the Enclave? Killing ghouls has never been an objective of the Brotherhood. Where the hell did this come from?
Well, I don't know if it was like a translation thing, but in the version I watched, they talk about eradicating abominations, aka anything that isn't completely human, so super mutant ghouls and synths.
And don't even tell me
Very usual Brotherhood of Steel
he
stuff.
pulled this out his ass just because he's supposed to be a racist. No, actually, knowing
What?
these writers, maybe that is exactly what they're implying. But anyway,
Nah,
back to the
no,
ghoul and
man.
Lucy. The Gulper eventually takes bite, nearly voring Lucy, but of
Don't
course
use
it
that
gets
word.
away. And this is where another major plot hole happens. The ghoul says Gulpers digest slowly. He then makes a joke about side quests.
Wasteland's got its own golden receiver.
Ooh, what's that?
Thou shalt get sidetracked by bullshit every goddamn time.
Ooh, wow, haha, so meta. And then he leaves to
Silly.
go sell Lucy's
It's silly again.
organs. I'm not making this up. That is the sequence of events. I
Yeah.
seriously have to ask at this point, if you're a real human and you like this show, did you get high before watching?
No,
Were
did you?
drinking? Did
Did
you
you?
get vaxxed 3 or 4 times? How the hell did you
What?
like this show? So back to Maximus and the Squire, we get an incredibly awkward scene where Maximus gets the Squire to explain why he bullied him. But obviously, since he's still pretending to be Titus, he does it by trying to get him to say something horrible about him, and this somehow leads him to explaining that the only reason he bullied Maximus is because he himself was bullied until he showed up, and so he just redirected the bullying to Maximus.
It's continuing the cycle of abuse.
And so it's supposed to be this big,
Don't tell me you were never bullied in school. Come
like,
on.
oh, see, this guy's not so bad. And so then Maximus starts treating him better. Unfortunately, this
Yeah.
goes in a
Because they can relate to each other.
really stupid direction later, but I actually kind of like this scene. It felt much more mature than the rest of this show, but
Wow.
it was handled somewhat poorly.
Incredible, he likes something.
When I know I said I wasn't going to bring up the Vault 33 subplot, but I do want to point out that a black guy who I guess is an engineer says that the water chip is broken and they never bring it up again. So that was just a completely pointless reference to Fallout 1. Which is funny because if you've played Fallout 1, you know that this show completely shits all over the story with all of the retcons. You want me to name another big one? The Master, the villain of the original game who was turning people into super mutants, was finding those people from vaults, and his headquarters was located near the Boneyard. It would have been in spitting distance of Vault 33. You're telling me that he never found this vault that was out in the open he never managed to get inside and mutate all those people into super mutants. Speaking of super mutants, there are none in this show.
Which
the
is
West
sad.
Coast canonically has intelligent super mutants, unless they all got killed by the Brotherhood of the Enclave or something. But no, they are never mentioned in this show. One of the most iconic things in the Fallout franchise is
Maybe they didn't have the budget. I'll give you that.
in the Fallout TV show. Okay, enough tangents. Let's wrap up this episode. Eventually, Maximus catches up to the head. He saves his squire from being devoured alive, yanks out its guts, and now they have the head. And for the final scene, it cuts
they
back
cheer
to
like
the ghoul and
schoolboys.
Lucy, and to just spit in my face in particular, and all the shills who fucking lied in my first review. The ghoul drinks water directly in front of Lucy. And you know what's funny? In a later episode, he eats food, too. Ghouls need water to survive. This has been established.
Yeah, again, maybe someone was changing the IV bag as you yourself suggested.
Multiple times in the
You might be explained in another season.
series, and it's now established in the show, and yet he was buried underground 4 years with no water or food. Explain it, Shills. Explain it. And for the final scene of the episode, we're back in the past again, and we see that Cooper inspired the Vault Boy. Yes, even though the Vault Boy has blonde
More like he was used to advertise the vaults
hair.
and everything
No,
else.
it was Walton
And
Goggins'
the pose,
character throwing up a
etc.
thumbs up that inspired the Vault Boy. Wow.
He was used for advertisement and propaganda.
What a great addition to the Fallout lore. Alright, episode 3
Sure.
gets a 4 out of 10.
Whatever you
It was
tell
definitely
yourself.
better than the last one. I suppose if you turned off your brain completely and didn't care about the Fallout lore at all, it's kinda watchable, but it certainly
gosh.
isn't good by any metric. On to episode 4. This one is supposed to be all about Lucy losing her innocence and seeing how horrific the wasteland is. It starts off with the ghoul taking her to some other ghoul guy who's about to turn feral, and I'm just gonna call him Cooper for the rest of the show. The ghoul is such a stupid fucking name. Cooper
Oh,
shoots
she's
him before he
syntax
goes
man.
feral, and then
Is
starts eating
dumb.
him. He's not even feral, yet
Yeah.
he'll fucking eat other ghouls. What the hell? But I guess I finally figured out why Zoomers like this show. He eats ass.
Come on, Vaulty.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. He says, hey, I'm not gonna let some meat go to waste. He says it. He says why.
Ass jerky don't make itself.
In the next scene, we see Lucy has gotten
It's
so
silly.
thirsty that
Silly,
she's willing
yes.
to drink irradiated water. And conveniently, Cooper starts to turn feral because he ran out of serum, I guess. So Lucy makes a run for it. But he catches her with his lasso, but then she ends up biting his finger off. And so to get even, he
That was
slices one of
brutal.
her fingers off.
That
and she
was very
barely
brutal.
even reacts, dude. What is this terrible acting? And you guys say she's not a Mary Sue. Oh,
My guy, it's called adrenaline. You know when you're very high on adrenaline, you do not feel pain and you're in shock, so you do not feel pain. That's what's going on. That's what's happening.
and once again, I want to briefly talk about Vault 33 because Sweet Home Alabama ends up hooking up with the blonde chick after her husband died, and she's pregnant with his child, and she ends up giving birth, and Alabama raises another man's child.
Yeah,
Now
it's a very cute scene. It's a very odd but cute plotline.
know why Redditors like this show. But before I start saying stuff that's gonna get me banned, let's get back to Lucy and Cooper.
Wait, is he complaining that like he's not his biological kid? Who cares? Who
ends up
cares?
delivering her
You.
to a super duper mart that functions as a organ harvesting clinic. As soon as she gets inside, he passes out. I guess that's part of the process of becoming feral now. And she ends up meeting a Mr. Handy, and she acts like she's never seen one before. I mean, I can
Maybe she
understand her
didn't.
vault not having any of them, but
Yeah.
really? She knows about power armor. Whatever. We get another kind of
Yeah, in the canon of the show, it's established that they were the power armors were used in some war, no who knows which one, and so she studied about them in the history books, not the Mr. Handy.
This
They
stupid
weren't in
scene where the Mr. Handy sews a rotting finger that was just sitting in a drawer for who knows how long, not
That's-
frozen, onto
Yeah.
her hand, and it just works. Then the Mr. Handy rolls her
It's
out
fun.
to the two owners of this.
So like whenever in a Fallout game your leg is incapacitated or your spine is now ruined and you just heal it like it's nothing, that's fine, and you say gameplay is not
Legitimate
canon for you.
business, and they're straight out of Idiocracy. There's no guards here, by the way, either. These guys own like more than a dozen slaves, yet they couldn't afford any raider guards or mercs or anything to that effect.
Yeah, you see, two things. First, you don't pay slaves. That's the whole thing about them. Second, I think it's established in another episode that the guards were out to search for people to harvest
Paradise
organs from.
Falls from Fallout 3 had to have at least 20 slavers in there who were fully armed and competent. But, you know, in the Fallout TV show, it's just two retards and their robot.
Don't
Because,
use
you know,
that
no one would be
word.
smart enough to try and actually raid a place full of supplies. No. Especially not after the NCR collapsed. There definitely wouldn't be raiders trying to get supplies. No.
Or
Oh, and it
ouch
gets
and
even
about.
dumber. When the Mr. Handy takes her to the surgery room, it doesn't sedate her, and she just kicks its fucking arm? A knife.
Okay, yeah. Why would he sedate her? Because that doesn't make sense to the robot.
80-pound woman kicked a robot's arm and then just rolled off of the bed. Then
Yeah, they weren't very strong.
she uses a defibrillator to shock the thing. Anyway, she
Yeah, metal and electricity, you know, and circuits.
rolls out the Mr. Handy to the two idiots. They make a joke about her holding a air conditioner hostage. While they don't draw their guns, because she's clearly no threat to them, she
Yeah.
reveals that she filled its hose with a Braxo cleaner, which is basically just supposed to be bleach, but the show
Well,
acts like it's Hydroxo cleaner, which is basically just supposed to be bleach.
more Drano. Those things are toxic, man. Americans do not know
The show
those.
acts like it's hydrochloric acid. Either way, she gets them to release all of the slaves, including feral ghouls, which, why the hell do they have feral ghouls as slaves? Don't
Maybe they weren't ferals.
even try to tell me that ghoul organs are good for something. And obviously you can't
No, they kept as guards. I think it could be like a last resort thing.
use feral ghouls for any slave labor. This doesn't make any sense. Did any
You wanted your guards? Here they
anyone
are.
watching this show use their brain at any moment? Whatever, the ghouls and the idiots manage to take each other out, except for one woman who's barely holding it together. Of course, she ends up going feral, and Lucy has to pick up the 10mm pistol from Fallout. Make sure to get your replica in the Bethesda store. You know, it's funny, there was a bot that actually tried to say this show was made with love because they made a replica 10mm pistol from Fallout 4. This isn't even the original design for the 10mm pistol. No, this is the Fallout 4 redesign. In fact,
So it's an Easter egg from Fallout 4.
all of the iconic Fallout weapons are the Fallout 4 designs. And look,
Because Fallout 4 is very popular.
I realize this is completely subjective and up to personal taste, but I just think the Fallout 4 gun designs are ugly. So as we just
That's
saw,
fine.
Lucy, who's totally not a Mary Sue girl boss, single-handedly took out this organ harvesting operation.
She wasn't alone. She had the electrified robot. She had the feral ghouls, as you said. And she only took out this old lady and fell sick afterward.
And then gives Cooper a vial of the ghoul serum to save him. After she leaves, Cooper
Yeah.
heads inside and raids all of their supplies and watches one of his old cowboy movies. And I guess since he doesn't need the bounty from the Enclave guy's head anymore, he drops out of the plot for a while. And that's episode 4. Again, I'd probably have to give it another 4 out of 10. It was barely watchable. Again, this show is dumb as hell, but at the very least, Walton Goggins' acting is very entertaining to watch, but pretty much everything else about the show sucks. Now on to episode 5.
But also, you know, in that scene of his own movie that he was watching, he was talking trash about someone, and he was looking at it like, yep, talking about myself.
The first scene in this episode is incredibly stupid. Maximus reveals to his squire that he's not in fact Titus, and so...
Yeah, there is a very heartfelt moment before that you are skipping, so this makes no sense.
Maximus is like, listen, we gotta get our story straight before we report back to the Brotherhood, but no, the squire guy is like, they're gonna kill you. Why the hell would they kill him, especially if he hadn't lied in the first place?
Well, they're gonna kill him because he stole the suit, because he stole someone's identity, because he didn't protect his
But
right,
even though
whatever.
he did lie, he could just say that Titus died honorably in combat, and so he had to take up the power armor to finish the mission. Why would they kill him for that?
Because he lied, because he was just a squire, and he had to sacrifice himself for the cause and for his knight.
They're not even supposed to be here in the West Coast. They were eliminated by the new California Republic. And by the end of New Vegas, depending on who you sided with, they were either absorbed into the NCR or wiped out completely by like all of the other factions. That's really something I should have mentioned in the first video, but my point is, it doesn't really make any sense to bring them back just to make them look this bad. And
clearly you haven't seen Fallout 4.
Anyway, Maximus, being clearly an evil psycho, stomps on the squire's foot.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to die, and he's continuing the cycle of abuse.
And it looks horribly mangled when they show it later. But he manages to get behind him and removes the fusion core from the power armor, which of course the showrunner's doing zero research. Think that you get locked inside the armor when it runs out of power. Can you imagine?
I didn't run out of power though. It was the power was removed.
Imagine in Fallout 4 if when you ran out of fusion cores, you just got soft locked.
But again, it was removed.
Don't tell me that's just a gameplay mechanic. That makes no fucking sense. Even in the dystopian world of Fallout, you don't think someone would have brought up at some point that you get locked inside power armor if it runs out of power? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why they have squires also. And second, it was removed, not ran out of power.
Again, more bad writing and retcons, but no, the show never breaks the
Bad
canon. The show never breaks the canon.
You're paying attention, boy.
I'm not an AI chatbot, I swear. Anyway, the next
Sure
morning,
you
a bunch
aren't.
of rad roaches tried to devour him alive, but Lucy just so happens to find him. Guys, how big is this wasteland? It's supposed to be 3 blocks?
Oh, how is it possible that in every game you find exactly who you need to find inside the game, and you don't have to travel across the US to find who has some answers?
And yes, I know Lucy has a tracker on the head, but the squire already left hours ago. What are the chances she would pass down the exact same path where the head was the previous night? Whatever.
But also, you know, maybe the squire was there and then left, but she saw that, you know, he was on the road toward the head.
I guess I'm nitpicking again.
Yes,
so
you are.
after a really long, pointless conversation, Lucy decides to trust him.
Long and pointless conversation. Lucy said, I do not know if I can trust you. Max being like, hey, you might die if you do not trust me. And she being like, you know, I studied these things in history
Maximus
books.
is like the one guy she should trust because he literally saved her life. But anyway, they start traveling together and she asks him what happened in the last 200 years. And this idiot thought that when she mentioned the bombs falling, that she was referring to the nuke dropped on Shady Sands and not the world ending. So we've established...
Yeah, because, like, when she was like, hey, what happened over there? Of course, his first thought is not, oh, she must mean, the super mega war. And no, she means here and lately.
That the Brotherhood of Steel is not only debatably evil now, but they don't even teach initiates basic history.
Yeah, they do
Eventually,
not.
the pair come across two suspicious figures on a bridge, and Maximus, being smart for once, says we should draw our gun because we can't trust anyone, right? Because Lucy just told us that she doesn't trust people anymore, right? No, this fucking dumb bitch doesn't want to draw her gun, and oh, big shock, they turn out to be fiends. Yes, they're trying to throw a bone to New Vegas fans after shitting down their throat multiple times. And one of the fiends gets a shot off on Maximus. He loaded a rotten tooth into his gun, which I'm not even going to get into that, but whatever. The point
Yeah, using something crazy as bullet. Yeah, that's a thing.
is he gets injured because Lucy's an idiot. Then next up, we finally get to the
Yeah, so she's not Mary Sue. She's an idiot and she does things wrong.
biggest fuck you in the entire show, where we see the giant
Chilling Adventure of Sabrina. That's a Mary Sue.
crater where Shady Sands used to be. It was populated with 34,000 people. And
Dang.
as they reveal in the later scene, it looks like they basically restored civilization back to the wasteland, just like I said in my review of episode 1. And like I mentioned in the intro, this is not where Shady Sands is located. Shady Sands is not in LA. It's like at least 100 miles outside.
I said, I'll
They
give
could've
you
looked
that.
this shit
Yes.
up on the wiki, man. There's no excuse. They didn't do any research. And Todd
give you
Howard
that, okay.
hates what Fallout's really about, and that's a post-apocalypse where humanity is trying to rebuild after the world ended. And
Not everyone is trying though. Okay, there are people who are like, hey, we like this mess because we can do illegal stuff and there is no government to stop us. And also, as Max says in that scene, if I remember correctly, yeah, everyone wants to restore the world, but no one can agree on how.
And by the time of Fallout New Vegas, they succeeded. The new
Kinda?
California Republic dominated the state. They
Can we agree that it wasn't
effectively
beautiful?
brought the old world America back,
No.
though arguably even more corrupt. And it was
Yeah.
starting to fall apart at the time of New Vegas.
So what are you even talking about? It's not a perfect government if it's already falling apart.
If you paid attention to the dialogue from a lot of the characters, especially Caesar, a big part of his motivation with the Legion was seeing the gradual decline of the NCR. But instead of seeing that happen naturally, due to the results of the Second Battle of Hoover Dam, no, Bethesda just fucking nuked it back to square one. Somehow, just destroying the capital city wiped
Yeah.
out an entire empire across the state.
Yeah.
Why did Bethesda do this? Well, a lot of people speculate it's because of the long-running rumor that they hate Fallout New Vegas because they didn't make it, Obsidian did. And a lot of the people who worked on Fallout New Vegas worked on Fallout 1 and 2. And so, of course, to no one's surprise, the original creators of the series did a much better job than the hacks at Bethesda. And Fallout
Maybe that whole explosion thing will be explained in season 2.
New Vegas
Maybe.
is still
Who
considered by
knows?
most to be the greatest game in the series. So Bethesda
Cool
has been
game, yeah.
butthurt about this for over a decade, and this show was finally their opportunity to say fuck you to all the real fans of Fallout. That's exactly what happened, and that is why I fucking despise the people who like this show. Fallout
Well,
died
dislike
with
me all
Fallout
you
4,
want. I
and
won't
this
be
is just
offended.
pissing on the corpse. In the last couple scenes of the show, Lucy and Maximus take refuge inside of Vault 4, and it's another vault that has somehow managed to survive over 200 years. Do the writers even understand the appeal of the vaults in the Fallout games? Discovering the horrendous experiments
Okay, do they understand the appeal? Do you understand that the vaults are very hard to get in? That they are locked from the inside? That unless you have like a key or a pitbull or a special permission or whatever, you cannot enter? It's not easy to enter. It could be not worth it.
That either killed or mutated everyone inside is one of the most fun parts of those games.
Are you okay, man? Are you okay? Really, the horrific stuff is the most fun part
And
of
while
the
it's
games.
obvious that some experiments went down here, they subvert your expectations, I'll put it at that. And that's the end of episode 5. I can't really give this a real rating because I skipped about half the episode, since
Yeah, it shows you missed
about half
parts.
of it was the Vault 33 subplot. And I will say that half of the episode was definitely better, but showing where Shady Sands got nuked is such a massive fuck you to the real fans of Fallout that I can't really rate this in good faith. It ruins the entire series. Episode 6 begins with another flashback showing Cooper Howard advertising for the vaults. He's then approached by an executive named Buck.
Yeah, that's why he was doing the thumb up and why he didn't want to do the thumbs up. And maybe we haven't reached that point of change yet, but yeah, he was doing advertisements. It's not the Peep Boy guy. He was doing advertisements with the thumb up.
And they start talking about T-45 power armor, and apparently now there's a new fatal flaw with the armor that has never come up before. Definitely not a retcon.
Yeah, Cooper says, oh, we lost many men because of that flaw. Of course it's gonna bring it up. And this guy is like, hey, I just create, relationship with the public. I do not do these things. But also, like, it could be a way to explain why you are, invulnerable when inside those
And the show
suits.
never breaks the canon, as the bots say. And of course this is foreshadowing for one of the dumbest scenes in the show in the finale. We'll get
Wow, he knows foreshadowing.
to that later. I also want to point out that the T-51 is never mentioned in the show. In fact, did you know that China is never mentioned by name in the show? They only ever refer to them as the Reds.
Yeah, they're the communists. The ones that dropped the bombs. The communists. It could be China, it could be Russia, it could be someone else. We do not know. They cannot know for sure. Also, speaking of real war stuff, saying names of countries could be controversial. Yeah, but dangerous for the times we are living in.
Gee, do you think that's a coincidence? Actually, to the morons who like this show, yeah, they probably do think it is. Anyway, this...
Not a coincidence. It doesn't matter who the communists or the Reds are. It doesn't matter because the war is ended either way, so it doesn't matter who is to blame.
Guy is incredibly obnoxious. The only reason he exists is a setup for a later twist, which is also stupid.
It's also annoying because it's a corporal boy that uses corporal lingo, and even Cooper's like, I want to punch him in the face.
Next scene
You
is a
skip that,
corporate
I
party at Cooper's house, and we get to meet the voice of
Yo,
Cogs
I like this guy. I don't know who this actor is, but I like him.
and all the Mr. Handies. Then they talk about communists for a while, and we get quite possibly the dumbest theme of the show that keeps getting pushed from this point forward, that you can make a massive profit off of the end of the world.
Yeah. That's what the Voltec is doing, like selling, quote unquote, the idea of the end of the world, and people believe that the world will end. They're going to buy into a ticket to the vaults or more safe spots from the bombs, all that stuff.
Now, if you don't take this literally, there is an argument to be made that you can make a lot of money off of selling the apocalypse, especially if you're a gun store. But that's not what they're going for.
No, they're going for vaults, not
They're
guns.
very literal with this, as you'll
Says
see
who?
later. Then in the next scene, we see a couple sheriffs have captured Cooper, and they say they work for the government. Now, I thought this might be a setup for the Enclave to come back, but no, this is a complete nothing burger, as you'll see later in this episode. And now we're back to Lucy and Maximus again in Vault 4. I'm going to very briefly sum up everything that happens in this vault, because it's complete filler. You could cut this entire part of the show out and lose nothing of value.
I thought you said you wanted to see the weird stuff in the vaults. Pick a side, man. Pick a side.
First, I have to show you quite
He
possibly
can't even be coherent with himself. Come on.
the worst dialogue I've ever seen in a TV show.
You wanna have sex?
Well, she says what she wants. She's not playing games.
You mean use my cock?
Yeah, but that's what she said. Dumb smile is the best, like the dumb smile boys make. Not all. It's not to say that men are dumb. It's just some guys when they have the first crush, they're like.
I don't know. That weird thing could happen.
What weird thing?
It was just for some guys, not me.
not me. This scene is too funny. It's so cute.
But for some guys, you know, when they make it move, it gets all big and hard like a big pimple, and then it pops. And they say it could happen to anybody, but it's gross.
The Brotherhood of
Aww.
Steel doesn't teach kids about sex.
Yeah,
This is
no.
what I'm saying. They're obviously supposed to be evangelical Christians who are probably also racist. This is so
Yeah, that's the point. I'm confused.
fucking transparent. Bethesda is so stupid that they let this go through. Okay,
My guy, what are you not getting? Why you're not getting that weird cult about that hates diversity wouldn't teach kids about the birds and bees? My guy, what are you not getting? Also, it's very cute that right after that, Luis is like, "Oh, that's normal, that's how it works, and it's cute, it's
anyway,
bonding
as for the
scene."
Vault 4 plot, long story short, we get to see the infamous chalkboard that explains what happened to the NCR. Shady Sands mysteriously fell, quote unquote, in 2277, and
Oh, I wonder if they're going to explore that in season 2.
this has been confirmed by Todd Howard himself that this is
Yeah.
not the nuke being showed in the chalkboard. No, of course, the nuke dropped at an unknown date that's not written on the chalkboard. And this is totally intentional because, you know, every other point on the chalkboard has a year next to it, but not the nuke, right? No one knows when the nuke dropped because the show has to be canon, which means that it couldn't have dropped in 2277 because obviously every goddamn NCR soldier in New Vegas in 2281 would have fucking mentioned their capital getting nuked.
Calm
So
down,
no.
man. Calm down, man. Take a deep breath. It's okay. You don't have to yell. Don't yell at me. Okay? Calm down. Inside voice.
Mysteriously, sometime in the 2280s, Shady Sands got nuked, but before that, they quote-unquote fell. Even though, again,
Yeah.
not a single NPC in New Vegas describes Shady Sands having fallen.
Didn't you said earlier, oh yeah, you could see the corruption, you could see the cracks, you could see it was falling. It was starting to fall. It's not, you know, something that happens just like that. Another reviewer on this review said, yeah, you know, the Roman Empire didn't fall in a day. It wasn't built in a day, it didn't fall in a day.
Especially not, you know, Caesar, the guy who monologues about how the NCR is slowly becoming more corrupt and collapsing. No, he
You said the word collapse.
talk about Shady
Come on,
Sands
man.
falling. No. It's almost like all the people defending this didn't play the game. Whatever.
It's almost as if you aren't paying attention to what you're saying.
Anyway, I gotta move on.
Come
So,
on,
of
man.
course, the residents
You are explaining what they're saying, and you do not realize.
to this vault, at
I'm
least
getting
some of
angry
them
at
are
this guy.
mutants. The Overseer has one eye. There's a guy with a nose on his forehead. Of course, nobody ever brings it up because they have to build the tension like they're gonna get captured and experimented on. Well, actually, no, they completely subvert your expectations. As it turns out, the original residents of the vault were mega evil Nazi scientists who
Well, not very, you know, and with a Z word. They were just very corrupt, and they were doing experiments. Like you said, there were lots of vaults with experiments with being brought upon the people, and this is one of them. And you are mad because they're showing it when earlier you said, I want to see that. Come on, man,
did
seriously.
the weirdest experiments ever, including making a woman give birth to baby gulpers who then devour her alive.
Yeah.
But eventually,
Yeah, evil, very corporate, very evil, corrupted people. Yeah.
the lab rats rose up and killed all the evil scientists, and now they just accept surface dwellers into their vault. And
Yeah.
these surface dwellers have now become cultists for Moldaver. They worship her as some kind of god or some shit, and this is never followed up on, by the way.
I wonder if it will be explained later, which is probably most likely is.
And as it turns out, Moldaver is actually from the past, and they don't explain that either. And I know what you're gonna say,
Cryogenics.
and we'll get to that. But there's no reason why she would have been one of the people who was preserved.
Why not? She was a big figure, she was important, she had the money.
So this stupid waste of time subplot that adds nothing to the story ends.
You wanted to see the method that vaults. Now that they showed them to you, you are not happy.
With
What's going on?
Maximus stealing their fusion core, possibly killing all of them, getting in his power armor, beating the shit out of people for no reason except for humor, and then when they leave, Lucy convinces him to give them back the fusion core so they don't all die. And this is over the course of 2 episodes. They fucking wasted the audience's time so hard with this one. Anyway,
Yeah, Lucy never brings up the mutation because that seems like a rude thing to bring up. Like, it seems rude to comment on people's appearance. Maybe you should take notes.
back to episode 6. Next scene, we get yet another flashback where we learn that Cooper's wife is just straight up evil. Not only do they not
Wow, the big corporal woman is evil. Big surprise there.
allow dogs in the vault for seemingly no reason, but she also emotionally manipulates him into believing that she's the victim for him going off to war and possibly dying, experiencing untold horrors. He probably has PTSD, but no, she's the victim because she had to wonder if he would come back home alive.
Man.
Are you
Man, come here.
fucking kidding me? This is Hillary Clinton all over again.
What did Hillary Clinton do? No, I do not want him to explain about Hillary Clinton. I do not care. Man, that's the thing. War never changes. It traumatizes everyone. She's traumatized. He's traumatized. People are traumatized. Come on. Come on. You're telling me that just one person can be traumatized at a
Back
time?
to the present, we get another kind of pointless scene. Admittedly, it was cool at least, where Cooper is taken in front of the president, who's basically just a warlord who decided to call himself the president because he
Yeah.
wants to restore law to the waste again. And Cooper sews his finger back on. I guess
Yeah, that's Lucy's finger. Which all the shippers went with it. Oh, they went crazy with it. It was so fun to see. But yeah, this is the guy that operates the super mega mart, and these guys are the guards for that mart. And again, they had gone out hunting for parts, for body parts. When they arrived, he's skipping the whole thing.
fools can just heal without radiation now. Cooper ends up taking responsibility for shutting down the organ harvesting operation and
he's
also
not skipping
admits to
that.
killing multiple people in Philly. I'm assuming this is so they don't find out about the chip in the Enclave sign.
No, he was pissing off one of the guys because like, oh, my dad is in Philly. Maybe I kill him too.
So then we get a kind of cool scene straight out of a Western where he kills both of the sheriffs. Then over the course of 2 different flashbacks, we get to see that Moldaver not only is from the past and survived all the way to the present with no explanation, no, she wasn't frozen, not
How do you know it? She wasn't. Give me a second, guys. Give me just a second. Where is the scene? Sorry about that.
Not only that, but she was the leader of a company that was discovering how to create cold fusion, an unlimited energy source, which of course Vault-Tec bought her out, because obviously
Yes. Sorry.
capitalists don't want to end the resource war. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
episode 6. I told it largely out of order, but that's because 6 and 7 might as well have been a big two-parter. So I'm not going to rate this one. Let's just go to episode 7.
Wow, it's like they're all connected.
At the start of episode 7, we see 2 prospectors wearing NCR Veteran Ranger armor. And no, they don't explain it. This is purely just a visual reference to try and appease New Vegas fans. Not
Cool.
to mention, that's like the cheapest looking costume probably in this whole show. I've seen cosplays better than that. At least the scene becomes cool afterward as the ghoul is waiting for them. Cooper explains he killed the guy's older son, but the bullet hole in the letter landed perfectly on the spot pointing to where Moldaver is located. So he threatens to kill the other son if he isn't given location, and, well, he does end up killing him. So even though he didn't end up getting the location, I still thought it was a pretty entertaining scene. In a later scene, we finally
Yo,
get
guy.
a follow-up
Guy.
on the head situation. The Squire's foot is horribly
Ooh.
mangled, so he's probably going to die. And this piece of shit decides to lock up dog meat in a Nuka-Cola cooler. What the fuck? I thought they were trying to make this character sympathetic.
No,
And
they
in a
weren't.
much later scene, he
Where
comes
did you get
across
that
the
from?
snake oil salesman that was saved in episode 2, which I'm not even sure if I even mentioned that in this review, but who gives a shit? The point is, the guy has a magical serum that gives the guy magical regeneration powers. And in a later scene, they imply he's turning into a ghoul. Why didn't they just make it the forced evolutionary virus? Again, I brought this up earlier, but there's no super mutants in this show. But if they
You know, maybe the guy was just mixing stuff and didn't know what will turn out to
that
be.
was a vial of FEV, that would have made perfect sense why his foot regenerated. Him turning into a ghoul doesn't make any. I don't know, whatever. This whole part was stupid. Moving on.
Is it turning into ghoul? Just because said worry about radiations and stuff like that. The guy doesn't even know what
Eventually,
gave to the
Cooper
guy.
just so happens to come across the Red Rocket so he can save
Yeah,
Dog
Red
Meat.
Rocket.
Over hundreds of miles of
Baby
wasteland
girl.
he could have explored. He somehow knew exactly where to go to find Dog Meat and save him. And then we
Me.
get possibly the most Borderlands scene of the entire show, where Lucy and Maximus finally catch up to the Squire. He shoots at them and misses every fucking shot, which they just turn into a joke. Then he steps over a tripwire trap that shoots a crossbow bolt into his neck,
Oh,
and
gosh.
he lives. And this is the part where they imply, oh, he's turning into a ghoul, because now you can only kill ghouls by shooting them in the head, not a retcon, though.
Is this where you think this is from? Is this what you think is happening? No, it just got shot, but also it just got that super healing, super fast healing thing. So of course
And then
it's,
the dude just
it's
hands
okay.
over the head. Doesn't matter if Maximus tried to kill him multiple times. No, they're buddies now.
no, it's just, hey, I'm turning into something. They will kill me. I don't care. Bye.
And Maximus now decides he's gonna betray the Brotherhood for seemingly no reason.
Well, the reason, quote unquote, is love.
And
Yeah, boys can't have emotions. I
He
forgot.
gives Lucy the real head, and he takes a smashed up head back to them with no plan. And then we get the most unintentionally funny moment in the show. Our two heroes kiss. I can't even fucking say it. I can't even get it out, guys. I'm losing my fucking mind. This is gonna be my new reaction image every time I see propaganda. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a dude doing, okay, do kissing. That's okay. You're not trying to shoot me. Oh yeah, I forgot they're
Yeah, okay, I'm
mixing
calmed
in the
down.
washing machine
And yeah,
stuff.
before I get banned, let's just wrap this up. Episode 7 actually ends with
Oh,
a
I
scene
wish.
in Vault 33, but like I said, we'll cover that whole subplot at the beginning of the next episode. Alright, I will rate episode 6 and 7 as a pair since they're pretty much linked in all their plots.
Yeah, I wonder why the episodes in a TV show are connected.
I'd give them a 5. Even though they definitely still shit on the lore, these were probably the two most watchable episodes where you could just kind of turn your brain off and be vaguely entertained by what's going on. Again, still not good. I feel like people's standards for television are incredibly low that
They are.
they would actually
that's
like
not
this show.
the point.
Because these are probably the two best episodes, and they're just mediocre at best. Okay, with episode 8, I will finally wrap back around to the Vault 33 subplot and briefly sum up everything that happens. Like I said, for a while, this was the most interesting part
10
of the
minutes
show.
left.
We get to see Big Schnoz slowly unravel the mystery of what the experiment was at this Tri-Vault system. We see that the residents of Vault 32 all killed each other years before the Raiders got to that vault. And of course, they sowed the mystery of, okay, what did they figure out about Vault 31 that caused them to all kill each other? And so Big Schnoz does some digging. Despite being the manlet, nerd, chud guy, he actually has more courage than anyone else. Which I actually really like that. He's probably the most likable character in the show. What I don't like is his cousin being a cuckold and raising another man's child.
Why are you against that? What's wrong with that? He seems like a good guy. It's not like he's going to abuse this
And the
baby.
blonde chick is from
the
Vault
girl.
31, so she's one of the traitor people. And speaking of which, Big Schnoz finds out that all of the people who were elected overseer in Vault 32 and 33 were from Vault 31. And I find this very interesting, given the type of people who like this show think that the 2020 election was the most secure in history, you know, of course. But honestly,
I do not know what he's talking about. I do not get into that.
what I find even more interesting was the chosen number of 33. Those of you who are into conspiracy theories will know that number is associated with Freemasons. And that was definitely intentional, as you'll see with the twist in Vault 31.
I'm sorry, but 33 is just, I don't know, Jesus' age? I do not know what is getting
anyway,
into.
somehow,
Conspiracy
all of Vault
theories.
32 is seemingly cleaned up overnight, and residents of Vault 33 are to be moved back into 32 so that they can restore life to it, and the experiment in the vaults can continue. Eventually, Big Schnoz hacks into the Overseer's computer and tries to communicate with 31 and is let inside. And the big twist that we discover is that the Corpo guy, Bud Askin, from the past, is now a brain on top of a Roomba. Are you fucking kidding me? This is Borderlands. This is not Fallout.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
This is Borderlands. Whatever, anyways.
Oh my gosh. I also forgot to mention that the experiment is a eugenic program to create the perfect managers for the future. That legitimately sounds like satire, lol. The plan seems to have failed, judged by the clearly dysgenic residents of Vault 33. This is part of why you call me racist. I am, do not worry. I am calling you racist. Oh my god. Also, yeah, Brain in a Vat is very Fallout. Fallout New Vegas? Or the dogs with brains? No,
So the big
nothing.
twist is that
Come on.
these vaults have not been operating for 200 years. They've been bringing people from the past out of cryostasis.
Cryostasis.
Yes, this is another vault as cryogenic freezing. No, that wasn't just an experiment in Vault 111. No, apparently it's also in Vault 31. So Lucy's dad turns out to also be from the past. That's all the Vault 33 subplot was leading toward. What a fucking disappointment.
What do you mean disappointed?
Anyway,
Come on, man.
back to episode 8. We see Maximus getting interrogated by the Brotherhood of Steel. No, they don't bring up that he impersonated Knight Titus. That
Yes, they do.
plot point completely forgotten by the writers.
No,
But
they
do
do,
discover
they do.
It's the wrong head, obviously, and he's about to be executed. But then
Yeah, because he was impersonating someone
the
else.
She-Man saves
they-
him by admitting that she placed the trap in her own boot. God, I hate this show. Anyway, so
Maybe they did, because they were afraid to go, you know, towards certain death. Or maybe they were lying to save their friends.
Now we get to the big climax, where the Brotherhood of Steel flies over to Moldaver and her band of raiders slash ex-NCR members. And the battle looks really fucking stupid. I know some of you are gonna think, oh, this is cool. Dude, there's a Brotherhood of Steel guy in power armor with no gun who just, like, slaps dudes and slams them into a table. It's fucking dumb, dude.
Yeah, it does. It's like, I do not need weapons. I am
And
the
it only
weapon.
gets dumber because, of course, Cooper follows them all the way here, and he makes a comment about a fatal flaw with T-45 power armor, and he wonders if T-60 fixed the flaw. Of course it didn't. So
Yeah, because those people care more about money than safety.
he just shoots them all in the weak spot and kills them instantly. This show's so dumb, it's unreal. This is basically a Marvel movie. No, actually, that's an insult to Marvel movies. This is a DC
Come
movie
on.
climax.
Calm down,
But
man. Calm down.
believe it or not, it actually gets worse, because Lucy is also here, and she learns that her dad is the one who nuked Shady Sands. Okay. And they explain this with one final flashback where we get to see a meeting between all the executives of the mega corporations. They have their own Illuminati, essentially, right here.
Yeah.
And of course, Cooper's wife represents Vault-Tec.
Yeah.
And she suggests to everyone that they should nuke America first
No.
because they can make a profit off of the apocalypse.
No, she suggests to stir up the waters between the US, the Reds, everything and everyone, so that there are higher chances that, you know, the bomb happens.
Guys,
the
that might just be
apocalypse
the
happens.
dumbest plot point I have ever heard
You cannot
in any
listen.
television show. Communists literally do not understand basic economics, supply and demand. You're telling me you want to kill off 99.999%
That's
of your
not what
customer
happens.
base.
That's
you
not
somehow
what they
think you're
said.
going to make
That's not what they said. It's pissed me off. I'm gonna skip. No,
They've
I'm not gonna
established
skip.
Vault-Tec is a $1 trillion
I'm gonna skip.
company
Who
in
cares?
such great condition
Uh,
compared to every other research, but it does break canon though. It does. On top of wanting to genocide the humans, that's how they explain all the crazy shit that goes down in the vaults. Holy fuck. You can't defend this scene. It's too stupid. It doesn't
Oh my
work
gosh.
on any level. It doesn't pass basic logic. Anyway, back
You
to
don't
the
pass
present,
basic
we
logic.
learn what Moldaver's grand plan was. The Enclave scientists stole the formula, code, whatever, the thing that activates cold fusion, giving the wasteland unlimited energy. So yes, she was a good guy all along. It also turns out she's a lesbian and was in love with Lucy's mom. And
Yeah.
also she keeps her around as a ghoul, dude. This bitch is a psycho.
yeah. He's keeping so many
But like I
points.
said before, Lucy's dad nuked Shady Sands because that would have been competition for Vault-Tec. Guys,
And to stop his wife to run away with his kid and her
I
lover.
seriously can't take the show anymore. It was so painful
Maybe you
to
skipped
watch
it.
it up until this point. So whatever, let's wrap this up really quick. So Lucy's dad ends up escaping, gets the power armor. Moldaver is bleeding out. So our heroes decide to follow him out into the unknown.
But Maximus
The
stays
Brotherhood of
behind,
Steel
okay?
obviously captures cold fusion, so now they have unlimited power on the West
Perfect,
Coast. Nice plan, Moldaver.
perfect.
You really thought that one through, you fucking idiot bitch. And the show ends with Lucy's dad coming across Vegas, and it's dead. They killed Vegas too. I've seen some copium from people who
I wonder what happened to New Vegas. You know, maybe in season 2. Oh my gosh, this guy. I cannot hate this guy. I'm sorry, I just cannot.